On today's episode, we talk OCR in the Olympics, Spartan Games Season 2, and the first discussion of Spartan Cross League here on the OCR Report. Welcome to the OCR Report podcast, brought to you by the OCRReport.com. We are the only podcast to focus exclusively on the elite sport of obstacle course racing, from Spartan to Tough Mudder to the OCR World Championships, and wherever the elites are racing, we are there. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the OCR Report. Welcome back. Where have you been? Good to talk to you again. My name is Will Hicks. Thank you for listening to the OCR Report. Glad to have you here. Hey, before we start, go to Instagram and follow the OCR Report on Instagram. That is the best. If you're only following one obstacle course racing account on Instagram, it should be the OCR Report. Very excited. We have a great team putting out solid content. Very excited. Kim DeVos is our social media director, crushing it. Jack Goris, our photographer, crushing it. And we have a team of people putting together graphics and live coverage and reels. Very excited. It's great work being done over there on the OCR Report Instagram. Check that out. How has your summer been? Races are going on. We just had the second race in the U.S. National Series. This weekend is the third race in the U.S. National Series. Very exciting time. Obstacle course racing is back. Spartan is back, Tough Mudder is back, Savage is back. Even internationally, the non-US races, they're coming back right now also. Very excited to have everything getting back to normal-ish. Saying that with air quotes. I know we're not 100% out of the COVID woods yet, but we are making progress as a planet, and that is good news. Today in our show, we are talking with David Watson. David is the Vice President of Product for Spartan and the Director of Sport, the Head of Sport. I don't want to steal my own thunder, but this is a very exciting interview. We started talking off about OCR and the Olympics. It's Olympic season, right? Very excited about the Olympics. Love the Olympics. I love the Winter Olympics mainly because of curling, but I also like the Summer Olympics because they're also great. So that's where we started. Hey, let's talk about OCR and the Olympics. Awesome. While we're talking, we start talking about other stuff. And we get into some cool stuff. We get into Spartan Games Season 2. What? Guess where it's going to be? It's going to be on the beach. We get into Spartan Cross League. And this is in the very early stages as far as information. But David talks about it. He's, talking about the direction of the sport going forward and competition and teams and a league to follow. Very exciting stuff for Spartan and for OCR across the world. So those are the three big things. We talk about a ton of stuff. Literally, OCR World Championships. I'm not the OCR World Championships. The Spartan World Championships in Abu Dhabi. We talk about Telluride, the Ultra World Championships. But the main things are very exciting. OCR and the Olympics. Where we are at in that. COVID has set it back. It's not a secret, but it's still on the table. And we talk about, hey, this isn't like our kids thing. This is like in our lifetime kind of thing. Spartan Cross League and Spartan Games Season 2, all very exciting. Hey, before we talk with David Watson, let's read some iTunes reviews.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars.
I don't have any reviews to read. I just like playing that clip. You want to play it again?
5 stars.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do it to you. After you listen to this interview, go to the OCR Report Instagram, and you'll find a thread there for comments and discussion. It's time to talk with David Watson. Let's go to the phones. David Watson is the Vice President of Product and Head of Sport for Spartan. David Watson, welcome back to the show.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here. It's been a while.
It has been. Good to talk to you again. David, the main reason I wanted to talk was about obstacle course racing and the Olympics. About 5 years ago, Joe DeSena wrote an article where he wrote, quote, "I swear an oath to every man, woman, and child who has completed an obstacle race. I will not rest until obstacle racing is recognized as an Olympic sport." We're in the middle of Olympic season right now. Where are we at with OCR in the Olympics?
That's a great question. It's also, yeah, Joe's got some great stuff you can dig up over the years. Hey, we could probably have a book on some stuff. And no, he is. Joe's one of the sort of people that, if he says something, he means it. And he does mean it. We were making some great progress on the sport, and then this little thing called COVID-19 came along and sort of derailed everything, much to all of our mutual disappointment, anger, everything else in between. It's just been so hard. But the great thing is that, we're seeing the other side, and we're starting to come back, and US National Series is back, and we're talking about world champs now, and we have a season. And so I think that, building the foundation is really what we're doing. It's, we can talk more in depth about it, as we chat here, but I mean, the nutshell sort of summary is that, you don't sort of go from fairly fledgling sport to Olympic representation overnight, but there's been a lot of work going on in the last few years, and the way that we look at this whole goal is less, okay, we want to be an Olympic sport. It's more about what do we need to do to create the sport of OCR the way we envision it, the way it started many, many years ago, with chickens running around to the start line in Vermont, to now where you've got races in 50 plus countries and some of the top athletes in endurance sports competing. And people like Ryan Atkins, I don't think anyone could argue that Ryan and people like Lindsay and Nicole Miracle, these are incredible athletes that are right up there with the best. And I think they're Olympic. So, we're building this sport, creating this great foundation, and then sort of there will be a day where, we can get closer to parallel path and crossing over with that Olympic sort of representation and roadmap. So the work's got to be done at the ground level.
It seems like there was a lot of progress. I remember, and I don't know if there's ever an official announcement, but I remember a thought even like, hey, maybe Los Angeles in 2024.
Yeah.
But I think it's seen, at least from this side of it, it sounds like COVID has kind of pushed stuff back at least 4 or 8 years.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, it's funny, things can come back pretty quickly. I mean, when we had the very darkest days of 2020, in the back half of the year when we had to say, okay, there's not going to be any more races. Thankfully, we've got a few in Florida, in Jacksonville. It kind of felt like maybe Jacksonville's the only place we'll be able to put on races. We just do it every week. There was a point there. It was kind of like, oh man, how can this ever be back? But we're back. Utah was fantastic last weekend. We're seeing some really packed schedule coming up. On the Spartan side, on the business side, there's just so much to do because it's just such a condensed season now. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, things come back to normal quicker than you expect. I'm not sure. One of the key things you've got to do as a sport is, on an international level, you have to have a federation. So we've got one. We work very well with World OCR and the team there, and they're working hard to get every national federation set up, what they call the NFs in each country, and then the global body oversees that network, and then you've got to basically be recognised by GAISF, which is the IOC body which oversees all of the federations that are accepted as and recognised as sports. And so that's step one. So we're not even there yet. So we've got to be recognised as a sport first. Now you might say, well, hang on a minute. freaking tech ball is recognized. I don't know if you know what tech ball is. I didn't know what it was until I saw it was recognized. It's kind of a bit like table tennis and soccer. So it doesn't always mean that, but the UFC, like MMA on the UFC side, I mean, I know Dana White's been pushing really hard, right? We've watched him try really, really hard to get, that flavor of mixed martial arts in the Olympics. So far to no avail, but tech ball's in there. So it depends, right? It depends on who you are, where you're coming from. There's all sorts of complex things you can imagine. But the federation is responsible for doing that. We work really closely with them. But, the way it sort of played out is, in the early days, Spartan pioneered OCR. I think certainly the last 5 years, we've really taken the lead on the sport side. Now that Tough Mudder is integrated into, our portfolio, it's a great thing for Tough Mudder, but it will also be great for OCR fans because Tough Mudder can now really focus on, defining itself, as a community sort of event and as a personal test, as entertainment, of which Spartan is all of the above as well. But it's very different. We're really trying to focus on the Spartan side, much more on the sport element. The way that somebody does triathlon or somebody does 10Ks, 5Ks or marathons, cycling, go down the list. Spartan OCR is a lifelong pursuit. So separate out these brands. And so we're really building the sport of Spartan while the federation does their thing. I think that we set the tone, set the agenda in a very big way globally with the rules, with a format. Just before COVID, I was in Manila for the SEA Games, 5K format there. It's a sprint. It was great. It was really, really good. And we collaborate with the federation on that. They also pursue the ninja form of OCR, which we don't currently, which I think is perfectly valid. So that was a long bit of a sort of a ramble down what we're doing. But sure. The point is, we're building that sport element while the federation try and get the formalities in place, and they're tough.
What was the reaction inside Spartan headquarters when a few months ago they announced that breakdancing would be in 2024 in France?
It's a really good question. The reaction was probably more from me and a few of us on the definitely involved in the sport side deeply. Our reaction is actually positive, and I'll tell you why. The Olympics has, and it's no secret, has declined in popularity and viewership over the years. And I think one of the big challenges that has been reported for the IOC has been finding that relevancy with a new audience, with a younger demographic, with millennials, with very different content consumption patterns. Now that people watch content, of 10, 15, 20 seconds. If you're watching something over 30 seconds, you're watching long form content these days, So we're excited because it means that the IOC is recognizing that it's got to pivot. Not everybody wants to watch. I'm not bagging. If anybody watching this from the Synchronized Swimming Federation, I'm not bagging you. It's a very tough. So I couldn't do it. Put it that way. But I wouldn't say it's the most exciting thing to watch. Equestrian, these sorts of sports are traditional in the Olympics, but I think that to be relevant, the Olympics has to pivot. And we've seen it over the previous years. It started. I think mountain bike was one of the first kind of cool sports that came in. I think it was Sydney 2000, right? So that's had 20 years of sort of development now. I remember watching it thinking, this is amazing. BMX now. All these sports are really great to watch, a bit more relevant. And so when break got in there, just see it as a good sign, just see it as evolution, really, and a good thing for OCR, And I personally think that OCR is a fantastic solution for capturing a whole new audience in a whole new way. And especially at Spartan, we've got millions and millions of people globally who follow Spartan, follow the sport. you're already starting off with a huge community, and I think it's the exact sort of community that would benefit the Olympics.
If you had to kind of gun to your head, someone asked you, like, what year is a reasonable target? Like, is 2028 in LA reasonable? Is 2032 or is this more like
Reasonable.
a 2050 thing? Is this like our kids are going to watch it kind of thing?
It's kind of no, I don't think so. I don't think our kids are. I think it's feasible that the next. I think by 2032 we'll have a very, very good idea whether they're going to be in or not, for sure. It'd be great too with Brisbane, Australia just claiming
Just announced.
just announced. No, I don't think it's going to be something that's so fuzzy and off down the track. I mean, the key for us is it's twofold. Can we continue to build the sport in such a way that it turns the heads of the IOC, and can we work with the federations on a national level and international level with World OCR to stamp the sport as we're not going away. This is a global movement. This is a great test of athleticism, and it's producing athletes and competition worthy of the standard of the Olympics. So that's the job we have to do, and I think we've done a great job pre-pandemic. We've got more to do, and so next year is going to be a big one for us. I think it's going to be really, really important in 2022 that we not only get back to 2019 levels, but we exceed them in terms of competition and legitimacy of the sport and action. And we're working on some cool concepts around a short course version of OCR, which the community might have noticed we've been testing at various events. We tested in Jacksonville. It's called Spartan Cross. So we're doing all this with the future of the sport in mind. If it's our kids that are going to be watching it, we've failed our job. So no, we've got to get there much sooner. Yeah, but I'll do one more comment. I would just say is that we don't stand up and presume to be like. At the moment, our goal is building the sport, and look, if we can have anybody in the IOC say that's impressive, we respect that, when we're already achieving some good things. I don't think it would be wise of us, or I think it would be premature of us to stand up and be like, okay, we're ready to go to the Olympics right now. I mean, it's a lot of work that has to be done. We're a young sport. We're a great sport. So the bedrock and the foundation is what we're focused on.
You mentioned getting back to 2019 levels for the sport. Really, OCR is kind of come back, not slowly, but over this beginning of the year. Where are we at? Like, what are numbers like? What is the last half of the year look like for registration, and how are we doing coming back out of COVID?
Very, very well, surprisingly. I mean, there's a lot of deferrals, obviously. People had to defer their races and stuff, but I think it's just under 1 million registered for the rest of the year. So things are looking good, especially in North America. I mean, in the United States particularly. Europe's starting to come back online. It's been up and down in Europe. I'm not sure if you've been following what's going on over there, and the UK has been a bit challenging. I mean, the UK just really opened up recently, so the back sort of half, especially Q4, I think in Europe will be stronger. Asia is very challenging for us at the moment. Basically, Asia is shut down, apart from China, which has been very, very strong. Actually, on the kids front, China's been incredible with thousands and thousands of kids at events. China's absolutely going great guns. Lots of events. Yeah. But China's also closed off to the world at the moment. So it's very, very difficult to get into China and very difficult to get out. But for them, that's working. Australia not doing so well. As you might have noticed, half of Australia's on a lockdown. But so really the US is propping it up, and Europe's coming back online. About 1 million registrations so far for, towards the end of the year. Bunch of deferrals within those reg, but the hunger's there. People just want to get back out there. They're really excited about it. And so the challenge for us now is just getting the engine right back up to full speed, and at the same time preparing for a big 2022 while we deliver the rest of 2021 in a much shorter time frame.
Mention all those different challenges, different countries. How does that affect the planning for Abu Dhabi and the Spartan World Championships this year?
Yeah, good question. Abu Dhabi, Telluride, Ultra World Champs, Sparta Greece, North American Championship in Tahoe, Spartan Games is on the agenda. It's tough, because we're a small company, relatively speaking, to what we do. I think the image that Spartan has in the community, at least for some folks, might be with this kind of behemoth of a sports brand. We're not. We have I think 300 people working for us on a full and part-time basis globally, well, in 50 countries, something like that. It's not very many people for the footprint and the size of the events we put on. A lot of late nights. I mean, the team sits together, and I'm based in Singapore at the moment. I'm here, as you can see, it's nighttime outside and daytime where you are. But I've been struggling to get out through the border, so the team just went over to Abu Dhabi without me. But they had a really productive trip just a few days ago, and putting a lot of the really solid touches onto the event. We're really getting down to the practical level, like which bits of equipment are going where, and all the protocols, and working through the runner show for the stage and all this sort of stuff. The camping layouts and registration, transport from the city of Abu Dhabi, entertainment, food, beverage. Like, you have to go through this whole kind of list, and then you have to go through the sports side. How are we going to do the opening ceremony, the closing ceremony, and awards? So this is what we're working on at the moment. Team's taxed. There's a lot of work going on, but it's coming together. And to be honest, I think it's just the thing that keeps us going with these things is so exciting. The venue in Abu Dhabi is, honestly, it's nothing like anything most folks outside of maybe races in the UAE or Kuwait or the Middle East area will have seen before. I mean, even if you've hung out in Death Valley and places like that, like, it's just very different out here. I mean, it's the largest sand desert in the world. So you can just dunes for as far as you can imagine, and epic sort of vistas and great stars, and the atmosphere of the whole event's going to be electric. I just hope that I just hope that we have enough time to pull it all together, but we'll be all right.
You mentioned the Spartan Games season 2. That was probably the silver lining of COVID for OCR, was kind of a brand new event made for COVID times. What can you tell me about season 2 of Spartan Games?
Yeah, great point. Yeah, we did make it for COVID times. It was like we realised, oh, gee, we've got no races on. We better pivot to being a sort of a 24/7 media company. Spartan Games 2 is very close to becoming public. We've been locking down the venue, talking to some incredible new athletes. We wanted to really go for some new faces. Of course, got to see Ryan and Lindsay come back as champions, and they deserve to defend that title. But new athletes, trying to go for some even bigger names. You'll see some tweaks to the format, plus some things that you would expect to be in there. Probably one of the most noticeable things, it'll be a little bit shorter and sharper. So you won't see such a long bike leg, or you won't see such a long run. It'll be more compact. Obviously still very much endurance based. It's not suddenly switching over to explosive powerlifting or something. It's based on what we do as Spartan, but just a little bit more short and sharp and explosive. Solid prize money on the line again.
You mentioned a venue, not going back to the farm?
Not going back to the farm this year. So brand new venue. Really, really cool. And I think it'll add a really different landscape. The farm's brilliant, by the way. I love the farm. And it's a spiritual home. Well, we got two spiritual homes. We've got Sparta and we've got the original home, which is, Riverside, Vermont. But no, we're looking at a new venue, just mix it up, get a little bit of warmth, especially given the time of year, we're going to have to do this thing towards, the back end. So, yeah, it'll be a bit of beach, perhaps. Yeah.
Spartan Games Season 2 is on the beach.
Could well be. Could well be.
You mentioned Spartan Cross. What are the plans for that kind of short format, a little faster than even a 5K Spartan race?
The testing's gone really well. We've been really happy with it. We dialed it in from Spartan Games. Spartan Games, if you go back and watch it, there was 2 cross events. The first one was a bit longer, and then we made some tweaks actually on the fly. We intended to do that. We sort of went, well, if A happens, we'll do B, and if B happens, we'll do C, and all these other sorts of things. And we dialed it back and made it a bit shorter for the second round on Spartan Cross. And then the tests we did in Jacksonville, we did an even shorter version, so 3K. And so we feel like we've really dialed in the distance now. It's sort of perfect distance for elites to run. It's a fairly good run time to watch a race as a spectator, whether you're there or whether it's online, on TV, whatever. Definitely want to pursue a teams-based format. So sponsored teams, probably 4 athletes per team, like 2 men, 2 women, competing in a series, which would hold a draft for. So really just trying to put together all the bits and pieces for that. We did want to do it this year, but it's just the fact the season had to start so late, and just scrambling to get events back and do all these other things that we have to do. The championships, getting the US National Series back online, and World Champs, and Telluride having the Ultras in a new location. Putting on yet another new series was just a bit too much. So yeah, we're just talking to sponsors at the moment for the teams and trying to get the whole package together to run a league. And I think that's where Spartan really needs to go. Be more of a league and be less of the league plus the athlete's agent plus the adjudicator plus everything else. And the dream, really, the vision is that these teams eventually run themselves in 2 or 3 years with enough bankroll, and you're basically looking at much more of a traditional league sports format. And I personally think that this is sorely needed in endurance sports. I mean, we have the Olympics on now, and I'm really looking forward to athletics. But I'm a pretty big athletics fan. I'm sure there's a lot of people listening to us chat now that love athletics, but how much of us watch athletics all the time? Not that many. I mean, you might glance at the highlights of Boston Marathon or something, and maybe Berlin, if Kipchoge's running or something. But so I think endurance sports needs a real injection of excitement, and I think cross could be it.
That sounds, the way you describe it, the Spartan Cross League sounds more like something you'd watch on television than actually a participation where you get your friends together on a weekend and go run Spartan Cross. Is that kind of the vision, more like a?
Yeah, it's funny, we've trialed throughput in Jacksonville. So I think we had 250 or 300 people go through. I've checked my numbers, but something like that. And the flow was actually quite good. And we realized that you can actually flow people through the course, but then you got to start to do the numbers, right? And you start to look at, okay, if we're putting on a sprint event or a sprint super weekend and there's a cross course as well, do we have enough obstacles? At the moment that we share the obstacles with cross course on a Friday or something like that. How many people can you get through? Is it viable and all that sort of stuff? I think that people it could become a mass product, but you're not going to see as many people go through it. But I could see us doing, open category, for example, open category heats, even a type of like a track meet weekend where you do a Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or even in certain places where we might do expo events, you can put on these races and have a 2-day, qualifier, semis and finals sort of format just for average races. Average being me. Like I'd come along and just give it a shot. Like I think it'd be great fun. I think people would love it. But then on the other side, we really want to, going back to the start of our conversation, how do you get into the Olympics? How do you get the IOC to notice you? I mean, we have to build that sort of pinnacle end of the sport as well. And I think that cross is infinitely more watchable. I think it'll inspire people to watch the sport of OCR. And on the back end, they can then come and do OCR, and maybe, they come and do a cross, but they, jump into a sprint, jump into a stadium, beast, whatever it is that they're ready for. And then cross, we build the athletes up, we build the media vehicle, the sponsors come in, and then you start to have sport. So it's a two-pronged approach. If I was going to say a hard answer on it, it'd be broadcast probably first and foremost, and then if we can figure out a way to get enough people to enjoy it and find the time, we'll definitely do it.
Anything else you want to plug or tease coming up?
Much. There's so much. I mean, I'm really excited about Telluride Ultra World Champs. If you haven't done an ultra, come out and give it a shot. I mean, this is going to be a nice blend of traditional ultra concepts. We hope to have a bit of a sort of a tent city set up there. We can have a crew, and you run into the crew zone, and you can meet your crew and grab a snack and head back out onto the course. 10 Ks roughly will be the course length. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful scenery, and the course is, man, it's got some elevation. So it's going to be really hard, but I think it's going to be amazing fun. And we finished with Sweden in 2019, and it was so amazing. And then to be shut down so quickly into 2020 was just, it was terrible. So it's almost like a marker for me personally. Like I was there in Sweden, and I'm just really looking forward to kind of our championships returning. Of course, we've got Tahoe before that, which is going to be brilliant. I'll be there. But Ultra, I think I look forward to that.
This will be the first Ultra Championships since Spartan acquired Tough Mudder and World's Toughest Mudder. Have you borrowed anything from World's Toughest Mudder for the Ultra Champs?
Not really. I think one of the things we borrowed was back in Iceland, the first Iceland event, 2017. When we did anyone that remembers, we did an opening lap without obstacles, and that was, we took that from Tough Mudder. Worked really well, I think. But nowadays we feel pretty confident just from the get-go. We just want the obstacles ready to go. And no, not really. I think the great thing is now that we're not enemies. It actually helps us relax a little bit, and even it even helps better define each brand more uniquely and individually, vis-a-vis each other. So World's Toughest Mudder is a brilliant event, and the team there, is always creating really interesting things around that, little quirks and things, and little gamified things that people can do, and I think that's really cool. But no, the Telluride version is going to be sweet and improved.
North American Champs in Tahoe. Tahoe is not a new venue, but a new race format there. What's something people can expect from Tahoe?
Oh, I mean, if you've raced at Tahoe, you know that the lake gets pretty cold, and we do like to use it. The altitude's tough, although might be a good warm up if you're heading to Telluride in October. To get used to some altitude, head down to Tahoe. I think it'll be a good way for us to really enjoy the venue, enjoy everything Tahoe has to offer with a little bit less pressure from the World Championship. So it'll be a bit more low key. I mean, it's still a North American Championship, so it's not going to be that low key, but it's not the World Championship. So I think it'll just be a great time for Spartans to come together, enjoy that sort of great weather at that time of year in Cali. Although, we saw 2019, I was trudging through the snow with the team. We were trying to figure out how we're going to put on that World Champs. Bucketed snow overnight, didn't it? So you never know with Tahoe, but I think it's just going to be a great vibe, a great community atmosphere. Everybody loves Tahoe, and I'd say that we'll have a few surprises, in terms of the course, and certainly going to be challenging. That's for sure.
David, any last thoughts before we go?
I'm just looking forward to watching the Olympics. In between all the work we have to do at Spartan, and just celebrating athleticism, and I'm just inspired. As I watch the Olympics, I just think that it makes me even more driven with what we do. From our elite athletes right at the top of our sport of OCR down to people that are doing OCR for the first time. What a great sport we have. I get goosebumps thinking about it, and I can't wait for more of the world to open up so that Spartans can get back at it, because it's what we love.
David Watson, thanks much.
Cheers, thank you.
Special thanks to David Watson for appearing in this episode. Well done, David. Welcome back to the David has that race director / world champion golden ticket. What do you think? How stoked are you for Spartan Cross? What do you think about Spartan Games Season 2? What about Spartan in the Olympics? OCR in the Olympics? Do you think that will happen soon? 2028? 2032? Let me know what you think. Shoot a comment to us on Instagram. Or you know what? Shoot me a text to my cell phone. 619-485-2726. Let me know what you think. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And I will talk to you soon. Go spend time with someone you love.